Well, good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name is Mary Matzenbacher, and I'm the president of Go West Summit. We're now less than a month away from seeing you in Palm Springs, which will be our 37th annual Go West Summit. Hard to believe. This afternoon's webinar is designed to help you get prepared for Go West and to serve as an opportunity to get your questions answered in advance of this important business opportunity. In addition to this webinar, we invite you to take advantage of our direct scheduling tutorial link, which you'll find in the chat box. With that, let's get started, and I'm going to turn it over to Julianne.
Thank you, Mary. And yes, welcome. We are so glad that you're all here and honored that you're taking the time to join us to help you prepare for Go West Summit 2025 in Palm Springs, California. My name's Julianne, and I have the privilege of being the moderator for today's virtual How-To Summit. I'd like to start by introducing our very knowledgeable and experienced presenters. We have Bob Ribello, Vice President of International Tourism Marketing, Barb Bowman, CEO, Bowman and Associates, Lisa Brunig, Senior Tourism Sales Manager for Visit Denver, and Francisco Campos, Contract Manager for Gate One Travel. I'd also like to take a second to introduce Christine Kuhl. She is the Go West Summit Marketing Director, and she will also be with us in Palm Springs and along the way to help answer any questions you may have. So Bob's going to start us off with the nuts and bolts of the appointment scheduling program, walking you through the system from reviewing companies to selecting and confirming appointments. He will also share a lot of insight, knowledge, as well as his expertise with the program itself. We will then continue with Barb, Lisa, and Frankie, who will share the best practices of researching and selecting your appointments, how to prepare for your appointments, and what you can expect to experience at Go West Summit, getting the most out of your scheduled appointments as well as all of the social functions. We'll finish by answering any questions you may have. During the program, please use the chat to put your questions in so you don't forget them along the way. We'll come back and answer all those questions at the end. If for some reason you need to jump off or you think your question needs a bit more time, please, Christine's going to put another link in the chat box, which will be to a survey that you can use for those little lengthier questions, or again, if you have to jump off for question before the question and answer portion of our presentation. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Bob. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Julianne. Appreciate the warm welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Ribello, and as Julianne mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Go West Summit and one of the creators of the direct scheduling appointment selection program that we're about to review here today. This slideshow is available on the How to Summit page of our website, and I just placed a link in the chat box so you can download it yourself. I encourage you to log into your account and follow along, but know that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the Go West Summit YouTube page so you can review it again later if you'd like. Let me start by commending your decision to join us here today. You've chosen to be prepared, and you're going to meet some people today who will be there with you at Go West, people you can look for on the marketplace floor, people you can trust and turn to for answers. You've made a smart choice by being here today. My portion of today's webinar will focus on the heart and soul of Go West Summit, the appointments. The direct scheduling system is designed to be tackled step by step, beginning with setting your brakes. After logging in, all paid appointment-taking registrants will see a screen similar to this one, with the appointments dashboard on top and a list of options below. Click option number 1 to let the system know when you'll be unavailable for appointments by setting your brakes. Simply click the blocks of time to block them out. If you've made a mistake, no worries, click them again to open them back up. Once you set your brakes and return to the previous screen, you'll see option number 2 has now become available to you. It's time to build the list of companies with whom you'd like to meet with, and then later, picking the appointment time that works best for both of you. Start by telling the system which companies are important to you. This is sort of a wish list, as they may not all have appointment slots available But this allows the program to compare your schedules and find openings that work for both of you. And while we're on this screen, let's talk a bit about these two sliders you see in red. Turn Meet with Media on to allow the system to match you with registered media and journalists, and turn the other one on to allow sponsors to request meetings with you. The system provides multiple options to help you find companies. You can filter them by criteria that include type of business, state they do business in, categories of products and services, travel markets, and services offered. Continue your search by finding companies that match information in your profile. Click My Profile Matches, or you can sort by clicking the individual columns. Clicking the details link will open a new browser window and show all that company's information. The system tracks when you last logged in and will tell you if a company is registered since then by displaying a red banner beside the company name that says New. And if a company has already added you to their list of companies to meet with, you'll see a red star beside their company name. Once you find a company of interest, simply click their name to add it to your wish list. And once you have at least 10, save your list, exit back to your main appointments page, and click the Request Meetings link. Now it's time to build your schedule. There are 4 marketplace sessions during the 2 days of appointments. Click any of the big red marketplace buttons to start filling it up. You've already set your breaks, but you can modify your break schedule from here as well. And this page gives you some at-a-glance information and a key to help you understand what the different blocks of color represent. Clicking the Marketplace button opens up a detailed view of your appointment opportunities for that time period. Click the Find Companies button in any open 12-minute time slot to find companies to meet with. Those you've already placed in your wish list will pop up first in the Available Companies window. Click their company name to request a meeting, and then scroll down or click to open another marketplace to continue requesting additional meetings. Of course, you will receive meeting requests as well. Return to your main appointments page and click the Respond to Requests link to see who's awaiting a response. You can also view and respond to individual requests during the previous step when you have one of your 4 marketplace appointment windows open. Simply click the Respond button and you'll be presented with 3 options: accept, decline, or you can suggest a new time that might work better for you. If you decline the request, you have an opportunity to tell that person why by filling out the text box. Registrants have 96 hours to review requests before they are automatically confirmed, but know that you can cancel appointments if they're not a good match. Click the trash can icon beside the appointment you'd like to cancel and enter your reason why. Finally, let's talk about the dashboard that appears on your main appointments page. This dashboard tracks your progress and compares you to other companies within your group. For example, if you're a supplier, the average number of companies suppliers have selected to meet with their wish list is noted here. If you are a buyer, you get the average added for buyers. This will also compare your number of requests sent versus the average number. You can see here that this supplier has selected 37 companies to meet with, while the average is nearly 40. And they have sent 35 appointment requests, with the average being 32.5. That red button on the right is your cross-reference tool. Open it to show you any companies you've added to your wish list that you have not yet requested an appointment with. Again, as I mentioned, this slideshow, including this key, are available on the How to Summit page of our website. And as mentioned, I placed a link in the chat box so you can download it and review it at your leisure. Now I get to hand it over to the Go West Summit pros who will help get you prepared for the meetings you'll be setting up.
Thank you so much, Bob. Yes, and I'll turn it over now to Barb, Lisa, and Francisco. Frankie. sorry. It's me with, here we go. There we go. Barb, can you get us started, please?
I am happy to get it started. It's an honor to be with you here today. And as Bob mentioned, this is such a good idea and will truly help you have the most successful Go West. So it is our 37th year, and we are very happy to be in Palm Springs. It's going to be a wonderful destination. Our registration numbers are 196 buyers and media and 266 suppliers. We have buyers and media from 22 countries registered this year for Go West Summit 2025. And suppliers are registered from 28 US states and Canadian provinces. The ratio is 1 to 1.36. That means one buyer for every 1.36 suppliers. It's the best ever. It's fantastic. That's the best buyer to supplier ratio ever at Go West. Last year was 1 to 1.4. So thank you all very much. It's absolutely going to be fantastic. Over 10,000 meetings will be conducted, which always amazes me, but when you get on the floor, it's very, very busy. There are 73 individual appointment slots over the 2 days of Marketplace. Within 1 week, the direct scheduling system recorded 6,731 confirmed appointments, 3,708 of which were perfect matches. So with that, I will now turn it over to Frankie. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Barb, and hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's exciting to be here with you all for another year of Go West. And I get to talk about one of my favorite things, sustainability. So as we all know, the tourism sector has an impact on the environment, and it's crucial that we take proactive steps to reduce that footprint, especially in the ways that we manage our conferences. One of the most effective ways to reduce waste and minimize our environmental impact is obviously by cutting back on paper. So instead of using printed materials, maybe let's transition to digital resources like Dropbox or Google Drive to share important documents, presentations, and fact sheets. This not only saves trees, but it also makes it easier for everyone to access the information from any device, promoting greater convenience and flexibility. Another change that's easy to make is to consider adopting digital business cards. They are more eco-friendly and can be shared instantly through apps like LinkedIn or QR codes. Plus, LinkedIn itself offers an excellent way to stay connected while on the go. By taking a more digital-first approach, we can reduce the clutter and waste that often comes with traditional networking. Another simple yet impactful decision is to move away from traditional conference giveaways, or what we would call swag, which oftentimes unfortunately ends up discarded. Instead, why not consider repurposing those funds, for example, by supporting local scholarships sponsored by DMOs for industry workforce development. Alternatively, you can also consider donating to nonprofit organizations that are actively combating climate change. And I don't know about you, but when I travel, I always carry a reusable water bottle. It's a small habit, but by not relying on plastic disposable bottles, we can significantly reduce the plastic waste generated during our events. Additionally, I'd also consider you to choose a vegetarian meal over a meat-based meal during an off-site lunch or dinner. The environmental impact of a plant-based meal is far less than that of a meat-based one, and often every small change helps us reduce our collective carbon footprint. And now I'd like to take a moment to just acknowledge the efforts being made by our lovely conference organizers on the screen today of their work towards getting us to net zero. This year, like prior years, we have chosen reusable glassware, reusable tableware, and silverware for all of our events for lunches and our afternoon breaks. Additionally, we are also encouraging our host cities to partner with local suppliers to ensure that meal ingredients are sustainably sourced, supporting local farmers while reducing carbon footprints that are often associated with growing food and transporting it. So together with all these steps, both personal and as an organization, we can make a difference. And ultimately, sustainability is a journey, and by adopting even just a few of these practices, we can create a more sustainable future for tourism. I am so looking forward to seeing the impact that we can make together. And over to you, Lisa.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Bruning with Visit Denver. Thank you so much for being here. And I am here to talk about getting organized for your appointments. So yes, you have to do a lot ahead of time, and there's a lot of resources online. You can download the buyer directory, which has lots of information on all of the companies attending Go West Summit, including the delegate names, their titles, their emails, company profile, and lots of information on their business. So what I recommend, this is an example of how I organize myself in general, doing notes on each of the companies that you're meeting with or you would like to meet with during the 5-minute quick session, which we'll talk about later. And put who you're meeting with, who they are, what you know about them, what you want to know about them. You can use the data in the Go West Summit directory. You can also use other resources like your state or city DMOs and other partner research. And this can also help you target who you want to meet with. But once you have your meetings, then you want to get all these notes together. Are they a group or FIT? Do they work with attractions or hotels? Do they contract directly or buy from a third party? What other questions do you have from them? If they're already bringing business to you, what do you know? So that you can spend time in that meeting springing forward on what information you need to know, not what you already know. And then just a note here to say print or digital. This can be used either way. I do digital notes, and then I take notes on my computer during the appointment, which, believe me, if I can do it, you guys can do it, because I was print for a long time, but I do it digitally now and I find it very effective and helpful. Okay, so next slide is also me. So this is just kind of once you're in the appointment, a little bit about making the most. I talked a little bit about some of this. Know the role of the buyer. You have the name, the title, and their emails in the profile. So have that with you. Confirm that their email that you have is the correct one. So when you follow up with them, you're following up with the correct email. And if they're not the key contact for you, ask, who is your key contact? And should you copy them on follow-up, or should you just email the person that you're meeting with? Pronouns are also important to have those. Some names you cannot tell from the email address whether which pronoun to use. So that is also in the Go West directory. So use that and refer to it when you're following up. I did talk about knowing the role of the buyers, third party, and only discussing the products and services that mutually fit. So if you're meeting with a buyer that sells attractions and you don't have an attraction to offer, perhaps you think about canceling that meeting or emailing them ahead of time and finding out if it is a good match. And then just speaking to the role of the buyer. If they're just selling attractions, they probably just want to know about attractions. It should be a discussion, a back and forth. You should not go into a sales pitch unless the buyer requests, hey, can you please give me an introduction or tell me more about your company or your business? Don't just sit down and go into a sales pitch. It really should be a conversation. What do you need from them? And most importantly, always start with, what do they need from you? Are they familiar with your company or your business? Are they already bringing business to you, etc.? And then always have what's new and key topics prepared to discuss if appropriate. Definitely be engaged, make eye contact, make notes, track your comments and your commitments, do what you say. So if you make a commitment to do something, make sure you write it down. Also, don't assume that people are going to take printed materials because it is rare. Have some examples with you, but do not expect everyone to take a printed example. Ask if they would like a sample or if they would like it digitally, or for you to even mail it to them at a later date. And then remember, the appointments are 12 minutes. That doesn't include transition time. So they could be 10 to 11 minutes. So all of this will help you be prepared and listen for that 2-minute warning bell. That's really your cue to wrap things up. Make sure you're reinforcing your commitments and your follow-up and wrapping that appointment up so that when the appointment is actually over, you can leave because you probably might need to dash to your next appointment. And there will be someone else coming for the buyer. So you really want to be conscientious and not overstay your appointment time. I think that's it for me on this slide. And
All right.
I'm going to toss it over to Frankie.
Thanks, Lisa. Yes, I'd say the same thing in reverse from the buyer's perspective, right? I think I remember my first time coming into Go West, I was not totally sure what the point of the appointments were. And after a couple of years, I realized that there are opportunities to make meaningful introductions and start potentially long-term collaborations. So buyers, you want to ensure that each conversation is productive and aligned with your company's goals. So it's important to understand what your company's goals and targets are. Always be prepared with accurate information. You don't want to share the wrong information and have them run with that, right? You don't, like Lisa said, don't overpromise things that you cannot deliver on, and always focus on building valuable relationships first. I would always start with asking the supplier if they're familiar with your company. If not, maybe briefly introduce them to your company and your specific role, highlighting what makes your company unique or even valuable to them. It might be helpful to talk a little bit about how your organization is structured. For example, at my organization, we have several departments that will deal with an attraction or hotel. So we have a contracting team, an operations team, a product team, and an accounting team who will all deal with the same contact in some shape or form at some point in this process. So laying that out for the supplier may be very helpful for them so that they understand who they're speaking to and when they'll be speaking to certain people. And like Lisa said, do your homework. I know we are all out of school at this point, but it's important to know who you're talking to and who you're working with. Maybe review past conversations or even agreements that you've had with them, or even disagreements. It might be an opportunity to kind of discuss those as well. For you as a buyer, be ready with questions that you'll have for the supplier, or even have news to share. Are there upcoming changes to your organization? Do you plan on releasing a new tour product? Are you scaling back some of your business? Really kind of give them just a glimpse into what is happening inside on your end of things. This really shows and demonstrates that you're engaged and invested in the partnership with them. Moreover, as a buyer, I think it's important to be specific about your needs. Clarity often helps suppliers understand exactly what you're seeking, and often you don't have to hesitate to express that you require unique or exclusive requirements. I also think it's important to embrace creativity and flexibility. As Lisa mentioned, these meetings are a two-way street, they're conversation. Explore new ideas and approaches on how to enhance the guest experience at their museum, at a restaurant, or even at a hotel. Challenge conventional thinking and encourage collaboration for innovative solutions. When possible, like Lisa mentioned, take notes during the meeting to capture your key points, your follow-up actions, and ideas that came about so they don't get lost in translation or even lost to memory. And lastly, if there's no match, be honest and professional. Thank them for their time. Be sure to leave the door open for future opportunities because you never know when you might need them for a project that you're working on down the line. And with that, I'll kick it back over to Lisa.
Okay, in between appointments, you can be effective in between appointments, but again, keep in mind, appointments are 12 minutes and that doesn't include transition time. So you need to be aware of that. You have to get from one place to the other, and there are people going from one end of the floor to the other and trying to go really quickly. So if you're not talking to a buyer in between appointments, please move out of the aisles. But prepare your list of buyers that you didn't get an appointment with that you would like to stop by and see. And this will come in handy in several different ways. You can try to stop by in between appointments, which is what I'm talking about now. Be conscious that they likely have a full schedule. Many of the buyers will have full schedules. So be conscious that there really isn't a transition time in between, but if their table is empty and they're sitting there, you can certainly do a quick business card exchange. Say hello, say, I'd like to follow up with you. Do you need anything? Really can only take as little as 5 to 10 seconds. And then you can be off and then follow up with that company later. You can also step into the, off to the sides of the room of the marketplace floor and kind of watch what's going on. There's also a lounge, a supplier lounge that has tables that you can go and sit, and then the sponsor area as well. And it's a good time also to go and network with your state or city DMOs and find out how their appointments have been going and if there's anyone that they met with that maybe is a hot lead that you want to stop by and see. And then buyers as well, if you need to take a break, don't worry, step away from the table. So suppliers, if you see an empty table, that buyer is on a break. So be conscious as they're getting up from their table, that probably may be their only break of the day. So try not to hijack the buyers as they're trying to go on their one or very few bathroom breaks of the day. And be open to stop-bys from suppliers, buyers, because we do enjoy trying to get to see you. And then this is just an example. I'm a visual person, so I take the layout floor, which will be posted on the Go West Summit website, as we get closer to the date of the show. So within a week or two of the show start date, they'll post the floor layout once they have it finalized. It's in a PDF form. I go in and highlight the company tables that I have appointments with already. I mark the media so that I know which table they're at. And then I highlight the ones that I want to stop by and see. So I can use this in between appointments to stop by and see at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. And then it's also very useful at the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is the 5-minute appointment session. I will also say some of the buyers may not have cards on their table because they might be using a digital card, but remember we have all of the buyers that are registered in the directory, so you can always reference that. So don't stress if there's not a card on the table. You can still get their contact information. And I'm going to toss it over to Barb to talk about the 5-minute networking session.
Thanks, Lisa. This is a great opportunity for everybody. We really, really encourage you to attend the 5-minute networking session. It's a fast, 5-paced session. The appointments happen on Thursday from 1:15 to 2:15. This really gives you an opportunity to stop by and see tour operators with whom you were not able to schedule. So with that, you will be going to buyers' tables, which are numbered. As Lisa said over and over again, design a target list with buyer names and their table numbers in sequence so you will not waste time. As I've mentioned on many of these, one time I did not do that and it was rather hectic. But luckily, if you wear comfortable shoes, hectic won't be hard for you. So at any rate, visit only those buyers relevant to your business and be sure and be mindful of a 5-minute stay. Others need time to network. Move along if you don't need the full 5 minutes. We really appreciate that. It's a great opportunity, as Lisa mentioned, to pick up business cards or do a quick in-person introduction and follow up later. Follow up is vital for these. And I tell you, this has been very, very successful for me. I mean, I have made upwards of 15 to 20 contacts if I'm working it correctly. So please attend and be prepared to take advantage of this additional opportunity as a buyer as well, because this is your opportunity to speak with a supplier with whom you did not have a pre-scheduled appointment. So we're encouraging all buyers to be there as well. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Frankie.
Oh, I think oh, yeah, it is. Never mind.
Yes, reconnecting and networking. So yeah, I don't know about you, but after days and days of talking to people, I kind of just want to sit in my room and just breathe a little bit, right? You can do that, but I think it's important to then reinsert yourself into the conversation after all of our meetings. And, networking at social events during busy conferences are often overlooked. But honestly, these are probably the key opportunities to build relationships that will drive future business growth. So I would say take advantage of every informal setting, whether it's a coffee break, a lunch, an evening reception, or even a dinner, to meet new people and form connections. Always carry business cards, or better yet, let's share your virtual business card to ensure easy follow-ups. These events are a chance to meet buyers and suppliers outside of the appointment schedules like we just mentioned, so you don't have to wait for a formal meeting. Use these moments to introduce yourself and spark a conversation. You can start by asking someone what is their favorite place they have traveled to. I always find that this is a great icebreaker because people love to talk about where they've traveled. If you're unsure how to approach someone, maybe you can ask a Go West member for an introduction. You'll find them wearing the light blue shirts like you see on screen today. And suppliers and buyers can also leverage their state and or city DMOs for helpful connections with potential clients or partners. These are very valuable resources who are deeply connected into the destinations and regions that you want to go into. So let's lean on them, ask them for connection, ask them to help you find the next great hotel, ask them for a great experience or off the beaten path hiking experience, for example. And at the end of the day, remember, networking is all about building relationships and not just about making sales. So focus on fostering genuine conversations, understanding each other's needs, and offering solutions without the hard sell. And once you've been able to identify key people that you want to work with, maybe you can invite them for a coffee or a meal to strengthen that connection. These informal settings often lead to deeper, more meaningful discussions. And honestly, it's a great way to connect over a cocktail as well. Ultimately, Go West social functions are invaluable for expanding your network and forming lasting partnerships. And so definitely make the most out of every event and stay open to new ideas. Lisa, over back to you.
And the events are fun, so be sure you go.
And Lisa and I will be there.
And we'll be there, so look for us. So follow-up, what comes next? I think I mentioned it before, follow-up is key. Say what you do and do what you say. And that works on both sides, right? A lot of times in a meeting, I'll have things that I ask the buyer to email to me, but I also have things that I promise I'm going to send to the buyer. Finding out when they want that follow-up. Sometimes it might be, I really need this during the show. Like, can you, after done with your appointments, email me X, Y, and Z, or this week or next week. Sometimes they're like, hey, I'm going to be out of town for 3 weeks. And so that's a great way to say during the appointment, would you like for me to wait to send this to you for a month or after you're back from your travel? It's really important. And then do what you say, send what you promised you would send. And personalize your communication. Be sure not to send a mass follow-up. And if they didn't ask for printed material, don't send them printed material unless they requested it. And certainly in your emails, referencing something that you discussed in the appointment. So that really tells the buyer that you were listening, you're conscious of what the buyer requested and what the needs were, and you're trying to serve up and send them exactly what was requested of you. And then I oftentimes will take notes in the appointment of things they mention in the future. I'm going to be planning in July for X, Y, and Z. So I'll make a note to send them an email in June and say, hey, I know at Go West Summit, we talked that you were going to start working on something in July. So I wanted to email you to see how I can help you. Those little touches and little communications really mean a lot because it's telling the buyer that you were listening and that you're really trying to listen to what they need and follow up when they need it with what they need. So that is it for me on this one. I'm going to send it to Barb.
Yes, this is really the beginning, everybody. Developing international business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It can take 2 to 5 years, especially if you are a smaller destination. But I will tell you that in my 28-year career with Visit Grand Junction, Go West Summit was the way that we built our international business. We built relationships, which mean trust and commitment first, and then the business followed. And the main thing is consistency is key. Participate annually in Go West Summit, and you will see that consistency will result in successful international business, and you will make relationships for life. So with that, thank you again for being here today. We are very excited, and we want you to have the best and most successful Go West ever, and lean on us. That's what we're here for.
Yes, thank you all very much, Barb, Lisa, Bob, and Francisco, Frankie. I do have quite a few questions in the comments, so I'd like to start with those. And Christine, help me if I'm missing anything, please. The first one I think is for Bob, and it asks, can you respond to those that have declined your meetings in your dashboard?
There's no automated way to do that, but you can find profile information in 2 different places on the appointments page. Of course, you can go up to select companies and click details to find contact information, or you can download the profiles of either those just in your appointment schedule or the entire, like if you're a supplier, then you can download all buyer and media contact information. So I would suggest contacting them via email using the tools that we provide on the website.
And I'll just say, I download all. So you can go into the system and you can download the profiles for all of the buyers. You can choose whether you download the ones you have appointments with only or all. Download all of them. And even if you don't use them, I download it in Excel because it's easier for me to search and filter and all that stuff. And then I reference it throughout the year. I may be like, oh, I didn't meet with this company, but I think they were at Go West. And I have their information because I downloaded all the profile information. So that's my recommendation.
Okay. This next one, can you share a bit more about the benefits for media overall summit for media as opposed to the buyer experience. Lisa, you want to go with that one?
So from the media perspective,
I think about meeting with media as opposed to buyers.
got it. So obviously, if you're going to be meeting with media, you want to have your pitch, your media pitch, which is perhaps different than the way you're going to talk to a buyer. And it depends on the media outlet. So again, using the profile and learning what that media outlet is about, and perhaps tailoring your information on your company to them. And if you don't have enough information, it's okay to ask. Oh, hey, if you have an appointment with them, I'm with XYZ. What kind of coverage would you potentially have for someone like me? And what can I share with you that would help you perhaps do coverage? Of course, a lot of the media outlets, they may also be interested in coming and visiting and doing a media fan trip or something like that. So there's several different ways, from editorial to discussing having a writer come and visit you and hosting them in exchange for coverage.
Great, thank you. Here you go. I think this one would be for Bob, please. If there are two appointment takers from the same organization attending, is there an optimal way to switch appointments from one person to another?
There's no real way to do that on the back end, but to limit surprises, if you are swapping delegates within the same company, I would just be sure that the person on the other side of the table expects a change in delegate. So I would email them, again, using the tools we provide on the website, just to give them a heads up.
Okay, and I think this one is a question. So in the appointment scheduling process, how much time, how many blocks of time how much time should you actually block out during the day?
Well, you got to go to the bathroom at some time. So trust me.
This is true,
I
Lisa.
did not do breaks one year, and it's a challenge. So it's really
Agreed.
up to your individual preference on how many breaks that you have, but think there's no breaks in between. So if you have a full schedule, you're on the floor the whole time, and that's it. You're sequestered to the floor. So I always look at every couple hours, trying to have a break at a minimum. And that's just me. Everyone is different.
Okay.
Fully
Thank you.
agreed. I made the rookie mistake my first year of not setting any appointments, so I had 73 appointments stacked and no breaks. Learned my lesson. So this year I made sure to make my breaks every 2 hours, because it also made sense with the number of appointments that I was having. So that's the approach that I took. It's about half of the appointments every day. Take a break there, come back, and then redo it. That's the way I took the approach.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Bob, if someone I have an appointment with cancels last minute, how will I know?
If they cancel, yeah. So you just have to keep an eye on the back end of the website. And one tool that Go West Summit provides is the microsite. Everybody who has login credentials for the full website can also take Go West to Go in their mobile device and log in to get very up to the minute, last minute changes to their appointment schedules. So be sure they're using that tool. The microsite comes out about 2 weeks before the actual event itself.
I'll tell you, that microsite is absolutely fantastic. It is a gem. Thank you so much for doing that, because I use it all the time.
Thanks, Barb.
Then we've got one that, what is the usual dress code?
Let me take this, Julianne, because
Okay.
I responded to Kaylee. Kaylee, thanks for asking that. Certainly, and Mary and Bob, you can jump in here, but with Palm Springs, I think we're really looking at resort casual. But remember also that you have, you're in a convention center and that you do have air conditioning. So, if you could just layer up, that would be good. But resort casual should be very, very adequate, for Palm Springs. Anybody else?
I always bring a scarf or something, to your point with the air conditioning,
Mhm.
even though I'm a supplier, so I'm running around, I usually get quite warm. So I take that into consideration, but my nature is I'm cold by nature. So I might have a jacket or something and then have a scarf just in case I get chilled. And I think for the buyers, I see a lot of the buyers that have a scarf or a jacket or something in case they get chilly, so they have layers. So layers.
Mhm.
In Colorado, we always talk about layers. You
Yep.
can get 3 or 4 seasons in one day. I think with a convention center or any hotel, you never know how you're going to feel and what the temperature is going to be. So I would just plan layers. And we talked about comfortable shoes for suppliers. I would say I'm usually business casual. So I might have a blazer, more of a casual blazer, or just a collared shirt like this, and nice pants or a skirt or something. But I will say you'll see people in everything.
Mhm.
And it's really what you're comfortable in. But don't feel bad because there might be someone in a very nice suit or a really, really business attire, and then someone else in jeans and a denim shirt, and that's okay. So.
Perfect. And we
And
have
some
one
people
question.
really dress for their destination too. I mean, if you're Southwestern, you want to dress Southwestern, to kind of make yourself stand out. I
We
used to wear
always have a
crazy.
few branches and they come in their
Yeah.
cowboy hats, and that's great.
Perfect. So there is a question that I will answer. When is the in-person How to Summit educational session? And that will be Tuesday, January 7th from 4:40 to 5:15 in the Primrose Rooms in Palm Springs, California. So yes, we do this live. We have a live version. It's kind of now that we're here, now what? And we get Lisa and Francisco up there and Barb's there, and we do mock appointments. And again, answer any questions that all of a sudden you've gone through the appointment scheduling process. Something else has come up. You're here and you have more questions. We are there to answer your questions. And this is a fantastic continuation of our How to Summit. I think I've got one more question here that
Wait a
just.
minute, Julia, I just wanted to say one thing.
Yep.
Sorry to interject, but you
Oh.
do get a tour of the floor as well.
Yep.
Which is really, really why you want to be there at that session. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yep. Perfect. And then the question is, will the scheduling tool contact database be available after the conference is over? Bob.
Okay, no, that's a great question. Yeah, we don't usually reset the site for another couple of months. And being that Go West is as early as it is, you'll have access to that information at least through the beginning of April, probably. But know that if you register in future years, you have access to your prior attendance appointment schedule. So you'll know who you met with and what your requests look like.
Perfect. Does anyone else have anything to add before we thank you all once again for attending our seminar today?
Send us those questions on what you want us to cover at the in-person session. So let us know if there's anything you want to see,
Yeah.
if there's any scenarios you want Frankie and I to go through. We're
Great
definitely going
actor.
to walk through the floor. Yeah, we're going to act out some things, but it's always helpful to know what you guys want to see ahead of time so we can prepare and be ready to answer some questions live and in person.
Yes, and please use that SurveyMonkey link that Christine put in the chat box. You can use that and again, submit more questions for then. Again, as I mentioned, if you have lengthier questions, that's a good tool to use to communicate with us as well.
And before we go, I think we should stick to tradition here and invite everybody to turn on their cameras and unmute themselves so we can all see everyone and wave goodbye.
Oh, there's everybody.
In just a few weeks, and we will all be in Palm Springs seeing your smiling, happy faces. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much
you,
for
everybody.
participating.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
going to be a fantastic Go West.
Bye,
Can't wait to
everybody.
see
We'll
Bye,
you
see
in
you in
everybody.
Palm
Palm
Take care. See you
Springs.
soon.
Thank you all. Bye.